again, and welcome to episode 35 of the Fashion Feed podcast. I'm Elizabeth, and today's guest is fashion copywriter Katie Ramsingh. As a lot of my previous guests, Katie and I met on Instagram and hit it off straight away in the DMs. She is a copywriter helping fashion and beauty brands to succeed by getting their content spot on. Katie began her career in fashion journalism, and whilst it was fun attending press days and eating tiny Fashion Week canapes, she was itching to get out and explore the world, so packed in the 9-to-5 and went to live in the rainforests. What started out as a small trip of self-discovery quickly turned into several years of travelling, while also trying to establish herself as a freelance copywriter. She now has 9 years of industry experience under her belt and ready to help you with all things copy. In this episode, we discuss what Katie's experience has been in the industry so far. She's got some seriously cool name drops in here. Her favourite part of her job, what a typical day looks like for a copywriter, common mistakes she sees people making in their copy, some top tips on how you can add some personality into your website. P.S. Katie's mic is hitting against her jumper at the beginning, so we have a quick outfit change after a couple of minutes, so just bear with us on the sound and then it fixes itself. I hope you enjoy the episode, and I'll see you next week. Okay, maybe we should just be honest that this is take 2.
Yeah, I can do the whole Cilla Black bit again if you want.
Yeah, let's do Cilla Black again. Katie, contestant number 1, introduce yourself. Where do you come from? What do you do?
So I am Katie, and I am a copywriter that specialises in fashion and beauty brands.
And why, this is one of my questions as to why fashion. What kind of made you niche into fashion and beauty?
So I've always loved fashion, but I've never been creative, never been good at drawing or anything really hands-on, but I've always been really into the industry and found it really creative and always been really drawn to it. So I actually applied to study fashion journalism at London College of Fashion, but I did not get in. I turned up to the interview and just thought that they would see me and think I was amazing. And then the exam question was what would be the benefits of a designer showcasing at Paris instead of London? And I was like, oh, fuck, I have absolutely no idea.
No.
I just like reading Teen Vogue in my bedroom.
Yeah,
I just completely flopped the interview. So then I just went and studied English and journalism at a local university instead, but I was still really keen on fashion, so I would do internships at fashion brands and fashion publications when I could, and I would read the Teen Vogue handbook, which would teach you all about how to get a job in fashion. So yeah, I guess fashion has just always been my passion.
Wonderful. So I think this is the first outfit change in a podcast, actually. This is
This always happens to me, seriously.
I like it. Sometimes I wish that I could share what people are wearing in the podcast because it's a fashion podcast, but then I'm like, no, it's not relevant. Okay, cool. So you wanted to be Lauren off the hills.
100%.
Didn't get into LCF. So where did you go from there? How did you feel after you didn't get in? Was it kind of the dream, or were you just I'm going to go and do something else?
I remember, so I came out of the exam and I met my mum on top of Temple Underground Station, and there's a little bench up there, so we just sat up there, and I think even my mum and my whole family, they just assumed I was going to get in because I'd always been really into fashion. So I was just kind of well, what am I going to do now? But I'm very much a problem solver and I'm very much a fixer. So I was right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the local university, I'm going to intern all these publications because it's all about interning anyway. I'm just going to do it that way.
Yeah. And where did you go?
I first went to Sugar magazine, which was so much.
No way.
Doesn't exist anymore, but it was super fun.
You are now my idol that you've worked at Sugar magazine.
They gave me so much free makeup. I got to help pick which image of Robert Pattinson was going to be the centerfold pull-out poster. It was just so much fun. Got to write stuff for the website. Got to answer agony aunt questions. it was so much fun.
That's the dream.
Then I interned at the Sunday Express. I think it's called, what is it, like S Magazine or something? It's like the supplement at the weekend in the fashion department, which was just a lot of steaming clothes. But I remember
Burning fingers.
Yes, the stylist said to me, she was like, "You're going to be steaming these clothes, but I'm also going to like show you around and give you a real education." Because when I was an intern, I really wished that somebody would show me the ropes and like give me something practical and valuable. So that's what I'm going to do for you. So she was super kind.
Yeah, that's really nice. I worked at ASOS when it first launched on their marketing department. And yeah, I literally just sat in a cupboard for like 3 weeks and got paid in clothes. But I still had like the funnest time because you just, I don't know, you're just absorbing a lot. Like I would recommend anyone, I know like financially it can be tricky to intern, but if it's possible, even for like 3 days, just to sit and absorb like a working environment and listen to what people are saying. Because there's still stuff now that I could quote from my time there.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. And so did you go to uni then, or did you, like, once you'd had these experiences interning, that was enough to kind of launch you into the industry?
So I did go to uni. I studied English literature and journalism. I was lucky because my university was very focused on entrepreneurship. We won like entrepreneurial university of the year. So my course was very focused on like pitching and how to get a job. So it was very journalism focused.
Yeah.
And obviously you had to do internships as part of the course, and instead of a dissertation, you had to create like a whole journalism portfolio, which was really helpful for when you left.
Yeah. What would your day-to-day look like once you'd actually launched into the industry?
So I was still living at home, and I worked for a website which was in West London, and it took nearly 2 hours to get there every morning. I had to basically travel the whole of the Piccadilly line.
Yeah.
So my morning was spent doing my makeup, getting on the train, and then when I was there, it would be like checking emails. I'd probably have to write 1 or 2 articles for the day, so it would be talking to PRs, reading through like press packs, seeing what new launches there was going to be, maybe having an editorial meeting on a Monday with the editor and other writers.
So it's funny, isn't it? Because one of the things that I wanted to do with the podcast is like give an insight into what it's like. You can work in fashion without having to draw, basically, because I can't draw. So it's a very selfish podcast in that sense. I'm like, here's all these other jobs you could be doing other than drawing in fashion. And I liked what you said earlier, is that I'm creative, but I'm actually more imaginative, and like the differences between those two things are quite interesting. But I would think that being a copywriter, you would literally just sit at your desk all day just typing, but you need to still talk to people and have those relationships and get the stories from other people. And like, do you kind of spend a lot of time building relationships with other people?
Definitely, I think so. I think people think copywriting is, especially because with the age of Instagram, people just think like, oh, I can just become a copywriter. Anyone can be a copywriter. It's really easy. But I do think that my internships and working in the industry, like with physical other people on a day-to-day, really does help you to build up your knowledge. And even now, even though obviously I have my own independent clients, I'll be completely honest, every now and then, if there's like a really quiet patch, sometimes in the summer when no one's launching and a lot of people are on holiday, I do sometimes do work in-house. So last year I worked in the Body Shop for 6 weeks in their copy team. And it's just really good because it gives you like a refresher, and you get to like talk with new people, and you get to, bounce off other people's creativity.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Even if you do have a job that is like a quiet job, if you like, is to still talk to people.
Definitely.
And I remember somebody said once to me, and it really stuck in my head, and it sounds so simple when you say it out loud, but like opportunities always come from people. That it's never just like they never sort of just appear with you in your bedroom on your own. Like, you've got to put yourself out there, you've got to make those relationships, you've got to, like, regardless of what you're doing day to day, those opportunities always come from like networking, I guess. So yeah, I think it's quite cool that you jump in and out of the industry and add to the roster of your brands that you've worked with. You've worked with some incredible brands. Do you want to do a couple of name drops?
Okay.
Get them in there.
So I do fashiony ones. So we've got Louis Vuitton, Tommy Hilfiger, Dunhill, Harvey Nichols, Farfetch, and then of course all the amazing independent babes that you've seen on Instagram. So we've got by Megan Crosby, Lydia Bolton, Junk London coming soon.
Yes.
There's so many.
Yeah, I think... What would you say is the differences between working with those big brands and working with the independent ones?
So obviously if you're working with someone like Louis Vuitton, they have a very clear tone of voice, a very clear brand messaging that you obviously cannot shape or touch in any way. The rules are very strict. It's actually probably not as creative as you would think, because Louis Vuitton has such a deep history. You're essentially just repeating like the same things, whereas with somebody like Megan Crosby, for example, she obviously has her own unique voice, but her brand is still young and like moldable and shapeable, so I can help to steer it in a really amazing direction.
Yeah, that's so interesting. When I very first launched into the world of Instagram, I used to sell notebooks, and I like transitioned my Instagram from a notebook one into a fashion one, which is,
oh my god, amazing. I did not know that.
I went to this networking event and a girl said, oh, when you launch, your tone of voice has got to be really clear. And I was like, what the fuck is a tone of voice? I don't even know what you're talking about.
You're like, yeah, what
that should be. Yeah. And I was like, well, is that my voice? Because my voice is quite playful maybe, or like I swear quite a lot. Should that be my tone of voice? So would you recommend taking your own voice and sort of putting that into your brand, or making a new one? I guess it kind of depends whether the brand aligns with your personality.
Exactly. So if the brand is named after you and it's very similar to your personality, so you create clothes that you would like to wear, then I think that's totally fine. But obviously, if you're trying to launch like a luxury perfume brand, you don't want to speak like Katie. You want to speak with an elevated tone, and with different words, and no swearing.
Yes, yeah. I think it's really funny that when we were talking just before we started recording, I think I know I personally feel hesitant to write because I feel like I never do it properly in inverted commas, and nobody really teaches you how to write. I don't know, not like professionally, but you've only ever learned how to write academically. So when you try and write about yourself, like you said, it's so difficult. And I think that's where somebody like you can come in, is that you observe somebody's tone of voice, or you observe somebody's brand. And would you say it's actually easier for somebody else to write about you because you're a little bit more objective?
Definitely. Like, I really struggled writing my own website. It's so hard to be subjective about yourself, because all you think about is like, oh, I'm not good at this, or like, this is kind of my brand story, but it's not very interesting. So you need someone just to be like, take all of the feelings out of it and be like, right, and approach it in a strategic way.
Yeah. I know you went travelling as well at some point in the journey, so we've kind of gone on a wibbly wobbly road, but there was LCF, then the internship.
Well, there was an LCF.
Well, yeah, there was an LCF. Let's just really hammer that home that you didn't get in. And then the internships and the uni, like, where did the travelling come into that? Because it's really...
So I left uni and I got a job straight away in fashion journalism, and I did that for 2 years. And then a recruiter contacted me and he was like, there's this really cool startup in Shoreditch doing copywriting that need a copywriter. So I was like, okay, didn't have any idea what copywriting was, strutted along over to the interview, actually got that one. And that was a fashion tech startup called List. and I worked there for 2 years, and it was really fun. Like 3 office dogs, endless cakes, endless booze. Like,
Yeah.
so much fun. But I just kind of got a bit bored of the 9 to 5. Just the routine started to get to me. So I just handed in my notice one day, and I went to the rainforest, and I lived in the rainforest in Borneo for a bit, doing orangutan conservation. And then I travelled to India, Cuba, Singapore, travelled all around America, met my boyfriend.
You're still in America?
He's in America right now, yes.
Yeah.
But he'll be coming here after the lockdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do a tag team situation for the minute.
Nice. Yeah. And how did you find going back into work then after you're traveling? Because if you're kind of bored of the 9 to 5, is that when you went freelance?
Yeah, so when I was in LA, I met my boyfriend in Venice Beach. So when we were in LA, I just saw all these people like sitting in coffee shops all the time on their laptops. And I was like, what jobs do these people do? Like, why are these people not at work? And like my boyfriend would be like, oh, do you want to go and like grab a drink at like 4 o'clock on a Tuesday? And the bar would be packed with people.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what jobs do these people do? So then I started looking into like the world of like freelance creatives and realized it was like such a big thing of people. They just promote their business on Instagram, and they get clients online, like digital nomads basically.
Yeah.
So when I went back to the UK, I was like, that's what I want to do.
Mm.
So then I contacted all of my old contacts, and I was like, I'm looking to go freelance. Do you have any work? And yeah, luckily it just started from there.
Well, you're obviously very good at what you do. So people wanted you back. And did you find that scary moving into the world of freelance, or like did those opportunities from people that you've met before kind of see through it?
I wasn't really scared about not making any money, just because I have such a can-do attitude that I'm like, by hook or by crook, I'm gonna make money. But for me, I was just really worried about being lonely. Like I used to, we had like a batch of freelancers at List, and I would like edit their product descriptions and stuff. And I just used to think like they just sit at home all day by themselves. Like, aren't they just so lonely? Because I really bounce off other people. So yeah, that was the thing I was most apprehensive about, being lonely.
Did you get lonely?
Yes. Yes, I did. Yeah, so that's when I joined the Coven.
Oh yeah.
It's a online membership for other female founders and businesswomen. And yeah, they kind of gave me the support and like the everyday chit chat that I kind of needed.
Yeah, I found podcasts really helped with that as well. You know, like sounds really like airhead, but girly chit chat kind of podcast that you can put on in the background.
I always do that. Even when I'm writing, I always put like a podcast on in the back, and I just feel like I'm in the office.
Yeah, and it's like they talk about what they've watched at the weekend. I think that's the stuff that I miss working from home. But obviously I still speak to clients and stuff, and I'm sure you do as well, and you get like that little fix. But I found a notebook from when I was working and was looking to transition into freelance, and one of the things that I'd written was, I'm worried about being lonely, and I felt really sorry. I was like, oh no, it's going to be fine, don't worry.
But it is a genuine concern though, because
yeah,
especially depending on what exactly it is you're doing. But say as a designer, it can be really lonely because it just, when you're not like going to factories or whatever, when you're just doing the designs, it's just you kind of drawing, you know.
Yeah, and you're left alone with your own thoughts as well. I'd say definitely get a pet, that helps.
Definitely get a cat.
Yeah, 100% a cat. And from like the way you're talking, it's like, it's not like you always wanted to be a writer. It's not that was it. It was more just fashion was the thing, and you found what you were good at within that industry, which I quite like.
Yeah, definitely. I was just always drawn to fashion. Like I used to watch fashion TV. Do you ever remember that?
No.
Oh my god, so fashion TV was like this really terrible channel. Not a terrible channel, it was just one of the many channels on Sky, and it would just play like fashion like runway shows over and over, and it would be like first face, and it would show you like all the first faces of the season.
Yeah.
And then it would have like all the celebrities. They'd be like, "Hi, I'm Heidi Klum and I watch fashion TV." And I just used to be obsessed with it, because it was such like a glamorous and creative world, and it was full of like weird and wonderful people. And I was
Yeah.
like, I want to be part of that.
Like America's Next Top Model as well. That was
Yes.
what I watched back to back every weekend. Like I used to go and stay at my dad's house at the weekend. He had Sky, but my mum didn't. So like I was like, I need to catch up on America's Next Top Model. Tell me you've taped it all week.
Oh.
That's the dream. Yeah. So what is it about writing that you really enjoy then? What's the best part of the job?
Oh, that's such a tough question. I do just really love writing, as I said. I'm very imaginative. And I think I'm very imaginative, but I really like data and results. So that's why copywriting is good, because fashion journalism kind of got to a point where it can be quite wishy-washy, like the top 10 clogs for summer.
Yeah.
It can be a bit kind of like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah, you just pick any clogs.
Yeah, just like whatever PR sent you free clogs, they're the clogs that go in the article. So, but with copywriting, it's kind of like you're creating content for a purpose. You're trying to communicate a message to the customer. You're trying to get the brand values across, and you're also trying to like improve your ranking on Google and like boost traffic. So I kind of like the two parts together. It's like creativity, but with substance.
Yes.
I think I'm always trying to prove that like fashion isn't wishy-washy, because people are always like, oh God, yeah, she's doing fashion at uni, or like, oh, she's doing fashion journalism. As opposed to like my friends that want to do like newspaper journalism, they're taken so much more seriously.
Which I feel like between us and the people who listen to this podcast can definitely tackle, because I hate that. Like that literally makes my blood boil when you even mention the word fashion and someone rolls their eyes and you just think, why? Like, fuck off. It's a very lucrative career choice, and you are wearing clothes. I end up getting
everyone wears clothes.
Miranda Priestley on Devil Wears Prada, where she's like, that blue jumper, you think you chose the blue jumper, but yeah, I remember you shared something on Instagram as well. I can't remember what it says now, but it was about like being in fashion, being taken seriously, earning money, all of those things can exist together. And I was like, this is my woman. I love her.
Oh, what was it? Creative people can make money.
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah.
See, this is why you're a copywriter. And I'm not, because I'm like, it was something like this. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we like the fact it's creative and analytical at the same time. What are the common mistakes that you see people making when you work with them, or you kind of take over their website and you look at it and you're like, what have you done?
I think lack of a consistent tone is one, which is, it's just always such a difficult thing. Like if you don't write, it can be really hard to know how to keep a consistent tone. So you might write an about us page that's really formal, that's like founded in 2012, blah 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 blah, and then the product descriptions are like, "Han, this is perfect for throwing on at the beach," and it's like these are two majorly conflicting messages.
Yeah,
people assume that for like FAQs and about us pages, and even like shipping and delivery pages, people think like, oh no, this is an informative page, so I have to take a really serious tone, which is not the case.
Yeah, if anything, they should be the ones that you make more fun, because
people don't feel fun when they're on the shipping page. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so lack of consistent tone, and we were bonding the other day as well about TikTok and your TikTok video.
my terrible TikTok debut.
Well, I feel like everyone has made a terrible TikTok debut, to be honest. Mine is, I don't even know what mine is.
Yours is cute. Yours is very informative. Mine's just terrible dancing.
Well, I enjoy terrible dancing. Maybe we could go out and do it one day after lockdown. It's about people using the same product descriptions on everything.
Yes.
And you told them to stop doing it. Why do you think people do that? Just maybe because they're overwhelmed with all of the jobs? Or...
I think people don't know that that's a bad thing to do. So if you've got a bikini and it comes in 3 different colours, and you've got one URL and then like a drop down so the customer can select which color it comes in, then it's completely fine to, obviously that one piece of copy is for every color in the drop down.
Yeah.
But if you're going to create a different URL, like a different product for each color, then you need to have a unique product description because it's a completely new page. If you have the same information on each page, then Google is going to be like, well, this is just duplicate content. This is like the same website with the same words on like 5 different pages.
Right.
But I just think that people just don't understand why that's not a good thing to do.
Yeah, and why they need somebody like you to do them.
Yeah. It's also just much easier, isn't it, to copy and paste? Like,
yeah,
it is definitely one of the jobs that I've previously done. We shan't name names, but talking about 30 different ties. They were all silk standard ties, but they just had slightly different patterns. But they all had to have unique descriptions. And that was tricky for me, even as a copywriter. But like, you have to get really good at saying the same thing in lots of different ways. And it is a skill. It's not something everyone's going to be able to do. So don't beat yourself up if you can't do it.
No. And the other thing I know you help people with is writing an about page. And somebody told me before, your about page isn't necessarily about you. It's about why you want to help your audience. And it's almost like why you, what makes you unique to serve them in a way. I don't really like that word, but yeah. So do you think some people kind of fall down a trap of being like, it's about me, I have to tell everyone my life story, but actually that's not what people need from an about page?
I would say definitely don't tell people your life story unless it's like incredibly relevant. So like, I think people want to know why you started the brand or why the brand exists.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, why did you create a sustainable footwear brand? People want to know that you're not just in it for money and you just created something to make a profit. They want to know that like your grandma had a really nice pair of slippers and you really loved them, but when you looked online, they're all made out of
polyester.
Yeah, plastic. Yeah. So you decided to make your own. That's just a little snippet of your life, a really tiny little thought that you had, but it brings the whole brand to life and it makes people think like, oh wow, like there's really some thought and care that's gone into this brand.
Yeah.
I really understand like the vision behind it.
I always share this story about when I went to Selfridges with Olivia Rose, because obviously she was like showing her brand to the buyers, and they'd actually even invited her in. So it's not even like she offered to go there. So she got invited, but they still said like, tell us your story, like why you, why should we have you? It was like the last question of the meeting. And she told them this story about how her grandma was called Beryl and she taught her to sew. And so she named her first dress after her to respect the fact that all the things that she taught her. And these girls were like hanging off the edge of their seat listening to this story. And that, I swear, is what got her into Selfridges, was that story. Because not everyone can make beautiful dresses. That's not even true. But some people can, but not everyone has that story. That's what makes you unique. So yeah,
definitely.
Grandma slippers, I like that. Just a little snippet of something to make you special. And definitely the other thing I see with clients is they write an about us page rather than an about me page. If it is just you in your bedroom sewing everything, don't do the Elizabeth went to De Montfort University to study this, because I'm like, who's written this? I know it's you, but I'm really thrown off because about yourself. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, about writing it in first person?
First of all, can I just say, you don't ever need to say what university you went to unless there's a particular reason why this is relevant to the story. It's not a CV. Let's remove the university, please. Or it's just a pet hate.
I've seen it too many times.
So in terms of whether to write in the first, second or third person, I think it depends. Sometimes it depends on what your brand's called, as we've said before. If it's called something like Smarties and you say, hi, I'm Smarties and we do this. People are gonna be like, what is your name, Smarties? Like, say, no, I'm Katie and I founded Smarties. You have to introduce it in the right way. But yeah, you just have to be very careful with the first person. It also depends on your price point. If you have a higher price point, then sometimes the first person can cheapen a brand. It all depends on, there's so many factors. It all depends on your ideal client, what kind of brands they buy from. I can't give you a solid answer.
I guess it depends. I do say that to people, like, would you be put off if you read a first person about page, or would you like admire the person for doing it all on their own? And that kind of gives you your answer. If you're like, yeah, that's amazing, like say going back to Megan Crosby or Olivia, where they do make everything themselves at home, and you're like, that is sick, like they've done that whole brand on their own. If you're a bit like, what, they don't have a team and they don't have a customer services department, like and so if that's the way your audience would think, yeah, that's a good way to think about it. There's also
like, if you say like, I'm so and so and I own this brand, but then all your stuff is made in a factory, I think that can sometimes rub people up the wrong way, because they expect, if it's a personal brand, that you physically made the clothes.
Yeah,
so it's just always being very honest.
Yeah, and being super clear, maybe breaking it down, being like, about me and then about the brand.
Yeah,
kind of separating the two. Amazing. I feel like there's lots of tips in here. I hope everyone's got pen and paper and scribbling down some notes. And is there any other kind of top tips or pearls of wisdom that you would give to people if they are writing their own copy, if they're not potentially in a position to hire someone like you?
I'm actually writing 99 killer copyright tips at the moment.
Are you?
So my brain is like,
interesting.
My brain is swirling with tips.
Can I just interject and say that Katie said to me, I don't think I could come up with 100 tips. And I was like, you definitely can. And now she's doing it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, heavily inspired by your epic ebook.
Yeah.
101 tips for starting a fashion brand. Available now at elizabethstyles.com.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to do this. That's cool. I'm going to promote it when it comes out.
So in terms of tips for if you're writing your own content, there are so many, but I think definitely before you even start to write, make sure you're super, super clear on the ideal client and the target audience, because you're not going to know what to say if you don't know who you're saying it to. So really look into your ideal client. What other kind of brands are they shopping from? What magazines are they reading? How do they talk to their friends? Are they using words like babe and hun, or does that really turn them off? Like, really look into that. Even if you think it's really like funny and like really your personal voice to say hun, if that's not what your target audience like, don't use it.
Yeah, it's like the difference between talking to your mum and phoning your best friend.
Exactly. Or going for a job interview, you're not gonna be like, hi hun.
Yeah. We might, but
depending on the job, but
unlikely.
Other tips: always use grammar checker. You can just Google grammar checker and it'll come up. It'll easily check your grammar for you. And wordcounter.net, it will show you your keyword density and also how many times you've repeated a word, which is a really useful thing, because obviously spell checker checks for errors, but you may have written something, you think it's really good, and then you've realised you've said the word cute like 6 times in 2 words, which is not very imaginative.
Yes. Then we need the thesaurus. That's a mouthful. The thesaurus. Get that out. Oh, yeah.
Do you want more tips?
No, I think that's good. Yes. We'll save the tips for your 99 tips ebook. Don't give them all away. And so if somebody is ready to work with you and they cannot for the life of them write their website, or they're just at their wit's end, or they feel really overwhelmed about how much text needs to go on their website, how can they get in touch with you?
You can connect with me on Instagram at Katie Ramsingh, KatieRamsingh, Or you can visit my website, which is katieramsingh.com, and you can send me an email, katie@katieramsingh.com.
Brilliant.
Probably not the best email choice, lots of Katies there, but it's too late now.
It's your name. Where does your name come from? That was another question I was going to ask you.
Oh, so my dad is from Mauritius.
Yeah.
That's where my lovely name comes from.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to ask you that because I've never met a Ramsingh before.
Yes, we're quite rare.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I've really enjoyed our chat. I was so looking forward to speaking to you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure I'll speak to you later on Instagram. We chat most days on DM. So, yeah, thanks for
see you on TikTok soon.
Yeah. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.